I should keep it cool, babe. Not lose my swag and play the fool, babe. Just play the game and hold on, maybe. But I'm done with the waiting, done with the waiting. I'm done with playing nice. Now look me in the eyes. Tell me, tell me, tell me what you see inside. Not gonna ask you twice. Not looking for your lies. Tell me, do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Those who wanna play by the rules end up last with nothing to obtain. So let's level up to remain. 'Cause I'm done with the waiting, done with the waiting. I'm done with playing nice. Now look me in the eyes. Tell me, tell me, tell me what you see inside. Not gonna ask you twice. Not looking for your lies. Tell me, do you wanna go? 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 I'm riding the wave tonight. Gonna try it while the world's bright. Got room for one if that's alright. That's alright. Do you wanna go? 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 Do you wanna go?
Oh, hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Had a little bit of trouble with the sound there. Can everyone hear me now? Just let me know in the chat before we continue. Okay. Sorry about that. Well. Oh my goodness. So much to say today. Let me just give me a moment to fiddle with my headphones. All right, I think you should be able to hear me a little bit better now. Wow, everyone, like how is everyone? Is everyone's heart beating? Is everyone breathing properly? I tell you, I think that today marks the beginning of a new era. I think that today marks the beginning of the tide turning. I guess you could say that kind of began last week with the first episode of Archetypes, but with this interview that Meghan's given for the Cut magazine, I feel like there is so much in what she said that says to me, I am back. Pre-royal Meghan is back. I have my voice. I will not be silenced. I am not afraid. And now you're going to get to know the full me in my full power at 120%, not at 50%. And I'm telling you, when I saw the pictures, my jaw just dropped. I was like, is it every single time I see new pictures of Meghan, I'm just like, is this real or are these like pre-royal photos of her? Because you know she hasn't aged in like a decade. So I'm just like, is this real? Are these new photos? Are these old photos? But oh no, 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 no. These are fresh and hot and with some steaming tea. I am going to read the article. I know most of you have read it, but we are going to not only just read it, we're going to dissect it line for line because there is a lot to unpack in this. A lot. So before we get to that, welcome everyone, moderators. Thank you so much in advance because you're probably going to be working very hard today. I'm sure we're going to get some trolls in the chat. So thank you very much for the work that you always do. And thank you everyone for joining us. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button as well. And thank you everyone for joining. I think I saw Sylvia comment, are you going to open up the phone lines? Yes, of course. this is a phone lines kind of day. Okay. So yes, I will drop the link. Just give me a sec. While I'm fiddling around with that, you tell me before we get into it, what was your favorite part of this interview? What was your favorite part? What part took you back the most? My favorite part was all the parts. um, but specifically when Meghan said, I might be coming back to Instagram. Oh my god. Oh, my heart skipped 3 extra beats like Meghan back on Instagram. Oh, gonna need an oxygen tank just with me all the time. Oh, any of you American squaddies, is the cut available in print? It's available in print, right? Because I don't know, I've never seen it in the UK or any UK squaddies. Is the cut print version available in the UK? I'm not a magazine buyer, so I'm sorry, I don't know, which is why I'm asking. Can you buy the cut print version in the UK? And if you can't buy it in the UK, can you buy it in the US? Because I might ask Tina to send it to me. Because this is definitely one that I want in print for sure. A blue link, you like all the parts. So did I. The magazine is sold out. Okay, but it's available in the UK or US in print. And where can I buy this masterpiece? I mean, look at these pictures, y'all. Look at this. The fierceness in her eyes. It's like, I'm here. I'm looking at you. You cannot come at me. I am strong. I am bold. I am woman. It's the fierceness in her eyes for me, but still so graceful, but powerful. The freckles on her face, you know. I love the turtleneck. This kind of like Steve Jobs turtleneck thing going on. Just wow. I feel like I could just look at this all day. I definitely like want a copy to put up on my wall. This is the photographer that took the photos, Mr. Campbell Laddie. It's also followed by Naomi Campbell. Great photographer, sir. You are a great photographer. You gave us art with this. Look at this. This is my favorite. I love this. This is just giving me Tig vibes on steroids. She's just absolutely gorgeous. I love this kind of rustic Mediterranean old school kind of feel. There was also these two pictures, beautiful fitted white suits. This other one here with the black dress, just very elegant, fearless, sexy. I love that we're getting to see sexy Meghan again. Because this isn't what royal sexy Meghan and fierce Meghan, because this isn't what royal women do. This is giving me like that, was it Vanity Fair that Diana did after her divorce, where she did that quite sexy kind of photo shoot? And it was a photo shoot that you'd never really seen from royal women. It was so modern and fresh. Um, but Meghan doing that in her own way. I'm loving this. I'm loving the low cut, the slick back hair. Um, and also this image as well. I think this is Tony Birch, the designer. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the actual dress as worn on the model. This kind of very ballerina-esque look, stunning look. And a lot of people were putting side by sides of Meghan's previous photo shoots. So we've got the photo shoot from the cut with the flowers in the background, and this one with the velvet kind of sofa look in the background. That is actually an old photo. So Meghan has not aged. And it's definitely her going back to her pre-royal era. This is who Meghan is, and I can't wait to see more of this. I can't wait to see more editorials, more magazines, more interviews, and I hope eventually, once Meghan has told her side, and I do expect her to continue to tell her side as she wants to tell it, but I do hope in a few years from now we can come to a point where um Meghan has said her piece. She continues to be proven right, but we can get to a point where we don't ever have to talk about the other royals ever again, and their stupidity and foolishness can just speak for itself while Meghan and Harry just get on with their lives. But for now, I am loving this, and I'm loving her speaking her truth and being so unapologetic about it. So we are going to go through the article. Um, or I'll get through some of your comments first, and then we'll deep dive. So go grab your coffee, your wine, whatever it is you're drinking, because we're gonna get into it today. Yes, Denise, it's giving I am woman, hear me roar. Hear me roar, and I look fine too. Yes, the eyes show power, just the intensity, right? Blue Link, I love that she was brave to ask for help when she and her family did it. For me, that's a lesson. When you have people ready to support you, lean on them. Yes. Nothing shameful about asking for help. Puzzle dot USA sold out. I have everyone I know trying to get me one. Well, they better restock. They better restock. CP, I want that bench. I want it too. I love that old vintage faded look. Megan P, should us American squaddies give copies to the Cambridges on tour? I dare you. I dare you to like hand one over and be like, oh, can you sign this for me, please? See if they can swallow their pride and actually sign it. Valerie, you can't keep a good woman down. Amen. No, you cannot. Like, dang. Look at this. Yes, Annie, she's killing it. And she gives you that look that says, come for me if you are coming. Indeed. But also, I didn't don't come for me because I didn't send for you. And I love that in this interview, she's saying the quiet parts out loud, loud and clear. Yes, Lavender, that's what you call a pantsuit. Megan is a whole boss. All right, let me just scroll through your comments before we get started. because I know we're going to have a huge backlog of comments. Mm. You can never buy class, and Megan is the queen of class. Oh, Kat Harlem, I saw your message on. It's not showing on up on the screen on my back end for some reason, but I did see your message. Thank you, first of all, for being a member for 5 months. And please allow other listeners who haven't spoken before. Of course, if anybody do you know, I actually encourage anyone who hasn't spoken before, please come up today. I'll post the link again and actually pin it this time. Um, so don't be shy now. Regulars, you can come on as well, but newbies, you are welcome to the stage also. And take that, Lee Thompson. What's your move? Mm. All right, so let's get into it. Let's just pin this. All right. All right, we're gonna go word by word. Everybody ready? But how did everybody when you first read the article, like how did you how did you see it? Because I did hear a couple of squaddies who weren't entirely happy about it, who thought some of it was coming across as a bit shady. But I read it as more satirical because Cut magazine does have that kind of vibe. And also, this is the same magazine. I forgot to get the screenshot, but this is the same magazine who wrote that article about how dare Kate act so snobbish when she was wearing that silly hat at the Commonwealth ceremony where they totally shaded Meghan and Harry and were acting rude. So they have been consistent Sussex supporters and they've been rewarded. Right. Okay. I can see some of you haven't read it yet, so that's good because there's a lot to unpack. Right. So the article was done by a Miss Alison P. Davis, and it's titled "Meghan of Montecito." I love that. Given her own title, Meghan of Montecito. If you've joined the chat to speak, I'm going to go through the article first, and then I will let you give your talking point afterwards, just so you know. If you're just joining the chat, you've joined just at the right time because we're going through the article now. So Meghan of Montecito, she's left the firm behind. Harry found a polo team in Santa Barbara. The kids are doing great. Now she's ready for her next act. So it starts with the conditions are right for confession. It is a beautiful August day in Montecito, in a beautiful sitting room in a beautiful home. Archie Harrison, Mountbatten Windsor, a lively 3-year-old with a shock of ginger curls identical to his father's, pulls into the room demanding, "Mama!" Listen to his heartbeat with a wooden toy stethoscope. He stands, tummy protruding, while his mother, Meghan, convincingly performs her glee at hearing the thump, thump, thump in his chest. Oh, so for those of you who have read the bench, I think it was Meghan's dedication note where she says, is it for the man that makes my heart go thump a thump or something like that? Um, so it continues. Archie giggles and satisfies toddles right back out again. Meghan, relaxing in a cozy chair, gazes over all that is climate controlled and high ceilinged and sun dappled and perfectly marshmallowy and hers. An invisible hand has lit a Soho House branded rosewater candle. The founder, Nick Jonas, is a friend from long before I met Harry, she says. Oh, yeah. So yeah, Nick Jones is her friend. They've been photoed together many many times, and that scent fills the air, mingling with the gentle tones of flamenco inflected guitar floating from a speaker. Then, in the lull in conversation, Megan turns to me and leans forward to ask in a conspirational hush, "Do you want to know a secret?" Megan, silenced no more, looks around, making sure nobody, who would be, is listening. Then the top secret drop. "I'm getting back on Instagram. She says her eyes are light and devilish. Now, let's just stop there. Y'all, if this woman gets back on Instagram, I don't know how I am going to control my damn self. Can you imagine almost just daily content and posts? I will lose my mind. I will lose my mind. But that is what she said. We could be getting Instagram back. And you know what? There are so many more controls now to help tackle the trolls, and she has a team to manage the social media. So I think now would be a good time to come back on Instagram. And do you know what else we're going to find out? We're also going to find out to what extent I think the Cambridge account was um indulging in buying bot followers, because there was that journalist from BuzzFeed who did that article, A Royal Instagram Mystery, and they looked into why it was that when Meghan joined the firm and had the Royal Sussex account, the Cambridge account always had 100,000 or more followers, but when the Royal Sussex account shut down, the growth stopped. So that is something I'm going to be keeping a very, very close eye on. I think everybody will be keeping a very close eye on. If suddenly you have growth from nowhere. Um, so it continues. Oh, sorry, Valerie, you said Meghan on Instagram, she would nearly get 1 billion. And that is over for the rest of them. I actually think that she could become the most followed on Instagram, most followed person on Instagram. Let me actually check who's the most followed right now. It's probably like Kim Kardashian or Beyonce or Kylie Jenner. Let's see, most followed person on Instagram. And you know, Instagram is now primarily video focused. So we could be seeing a lot more videos. So the most followed person on Instagram right now is Cristiano Ronaldo with 475 million, followed by Kylie Jenner 366, Selena Gomez 342, Dwayne The Rock Johnson 334, an Asian cricketer with 211 million, and then Nicki Minaj is the most followed rapper with 201 million. So I think Meghan could easily, I think she could easily get 100 million for sure. And then as she grows her brand, yeah, she could top. She could top the following, without a doubt. Beyonce sitting at 272. Anyway, so the article continues. Um, okay, so it continues. This could have been a troll, delivering nothing with such gravitas. Feels as if Meghan, who has been so trolled by the media, is serving it back just a little. Well, I'm sure she is, and why shouldn't she? It's about time. Clap back, Meghan, clap back. It continues, but as I quickly realize, it is actually news. Before this chapter in her life, before everything difficult that spun off from marrying the Duke of Sussex, and, along with him, the British monarchy, she was just Meghan Markle, a woman with a plum role on a USA show and a moderately popular lifestyle blog, The Tig. As herself, she'd amassed 3 million followers by sharping snippets of a basic life, yoga, food she liked, hikes with friends, her beagle guy. Fans watched as she attended events with her Suits castmates and charity galas, nights out in Soho House in London and Toronto. She ran that account for years before she met Harry, but on the heels of their engagement, control over her Instagram was just one of the things, along with the TIG, her passports, and the freedom to open her mail, she gave up. Wait, the freedom to open? She couldn't open her own mail? I mean, I guess for security purposes, maybe, but dang. But does that mean that they would get to read that mail? A little suspicious. Anyway, it continues. She loved sharing her life with people, she says, but she loved Harry more. It was a big adjustment, a huge adjustment to go from that kind of autonomy to a different life, says Meghan. And what does it say about so called modern royals that as a royal and as a female royal, there is a certain amount of autonomy that you have to give up. Actually, and more specifically, as a British royal, actually, because a lot of the other royals don't live like this. A lot of them do have Instagram and their own platforms, albeit controlled to a certain level. But I think it's more to do with safety as opposed to you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to present your way like this, you're not allowed to express your way, right? Whereas with the British royals, it is very much about controlling the way you express yourself. So it continues. Meghan was permitted to join Harry, Kate, and Will on a pre existing account, Kensington Royal, that she had no control over. Meghan says, there's literally a structure by which if you want to release photos of your child as a member of the family, you first have to give them to the royal rota. And this is exactly what Harry said in the interview, that he didn't want his children to go through what he did. And I actually love the way Meghan says that you have to give them to the royal rota. You have to give your children to the royal rota. And I don't know how, as a parent, you can read that, or just as a human being, really, and not see a problem with that. Children are not commodities just because they're royal. The article continues. The UK media pool, she explains. Usually, the photos would be on media outlets before she could post them herself. That didn't sit right with Meghan, given her strange relationship with the British tabloids. Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton, is how the Daily Mail introduced her to the British public. We all remember that. And especially since she would soon have a child of her own to protect. Meghan says, and this is the part of the article that I just love the most. She says, why would I give the very people that are calling my children the N word a photo of my child before I share it with the people that love my child? She asks, still ruffled. You tell me how that makes sense, and then I'll play that game. So she was expected to give these nasty, gossipy, trash tabloid writers a photo of her child before her own friends and family saw a photo of her child. Her child that she had in her womb for 9 months. She has to give them to a bunch of British tabloid rats before her own mother can see her grandson. Camilla Tominey gets to see that child before Doria. It's disgusting. And this is not okay. And it's all about money. And it's not about family. And they cannot deny the way Archie was treated. This is Danny Baker, that infamous tweet, royal baby leaves the hospital, depicting that royal baby as a monkey. And that other tabloid writer who was dating, I think, a British MP, posting this. Actually, no, sorry, she didn't post this. These were text messages that were leaked, where she says, I wouldn't with a Negro. What's wrong with black people? Ugly, not my thing. They don't turn me on. Harry's marrying wet as a scrubber, awful. A royal yank, yuck. I mean, you can read the messages, just disgusting. And Valentine Lowe, one of the royal rota rats. It's that time of year, when beautiful girls kiss ugly frogs, and look what happens. Rumored sighting near Frogmore Cottage. Windsor frog spawn. And then Max Foster responded, how could you forget Sky News editor's finest digital moment? Great Kate Wait. And then Rebecca English replied, oh, of course, how quickly we forget our friends, the glory years of the lilac-trousered one. Well, now we've moved on to Sussex Standby. Valentine Lowe then responds, frog spawn. So referring to this baby as a monkey and frog spawn, not as a human. No, the biracial child is a monkey and his frog spawn. And this is the people who Meghan was expected to give that first private moment to. These people. Do none of these people at any point stop and think about how disgusting this makes our country look? That these are the people that sit in our press rooms. Anyway, the article continues. Um, okay, so April 19th, sorry, in April 2019, 1 month before Archie was born, Meghan and Harry launched their own Instagram handle, Sussex Royal, which reached 1 million followers within 6 hours. On their own accounts, they refused to play the exchange game. They broke their own news, posting photos that sometimes never made it to the royal rota. Shortly after they officially stepped back from their royal duties, they shut down Sussex Royal. They could no longer use royal in their branding. Later, in an interview with Fortune, Meghan declared that she wasn't planning on getting back on social media. The constant bullying had been too much. Um, in addition to being newsworthy, symbol of progress, proof that she and Harry have made it to the other side of all the drama that defined their past 3 years. Especially now with archetypes coming out, she says, steering the conversation towards the reason she agreed to sit for an interview in the first place. Archetypes, the podcast Meghan hosts, is the first much anticipated offering to come from the pair of high profile deals that the couple signed in 2020 with Netflix and Spotify. Each episode features her in conversation with her famous friends, discussing the ways women are unfairly labeled, an experience Meghan notes she has been through herself and is finally ready to talk about. Progress, however, is a series of steps forward and leaps backwards. Later, Meghan would relay she was no longer sure she would actually return to Instagram. Well, I hope she does, because we are waiting. And you know what? Why let the haters stop you use such an amazing platform that can reach an even more global audience? Give us video, give us pictures, give us everything, Meghan. Don't let the haters stop you. We want to see it. The article continues. Though she has been media trained and then royal media trained, and sometimes converses like she has a tiny bachelor producer in her brain, directing what she says, at one point in our conversation, instead of answering a question, she will suggest how I might transcribe the noises she's making. She's making these guttural sounds, and I can't quite articulate what it is she's feeling in that moment because she has no word for it. She's just moaning. At this stage, post royal, there's no need for her to hold back. And I'm glad she's not holding back. She's flinging open the proverbial doors to her life. As any millennial woman whose feminism was forged in the girl boss era would understand, she has taken a hardship and turned it into content. Amen. And the church said amen. Um, Meghan's journey from deal or no deal suitcase girl to princess had the makings of a fairy tale, or at the very least, a stellar romantic comedy. But it took almost no time to turn it into an extraction plot from a mid-90s political thriller. I love the way she says that. The seemingly storybook wedding in 2018 was followed by a year of clandestine conversations with the 1,200-year-old institution dubbed The Firm, during which the couple asked for help in relieving Meghan's declining mental health. When those talks went nowhere, there were even more clandestine conversations with a network of rich and powerful friends that led to an escape to Vancouver Island for a 6-week holiday that turned into something more permanent. Now, I just want to stop here and say, it doesn't matter how rich and famous you are, even if you're not rich and famous, it is so important to have a strong network of friends, extended friends and extended family. And I feel like this is one of these skills that we're not really taught to strengthen, because your there's that saying that your network is your net worth, right? And you're the sum of the 5 people who are closest to you. And I always talk about taking lessons, not just not just following Meghan because we love her, but taking lessons from her. Don't just be a fan that watches and like watches and digests the content. Be a fan that actually looks at Meghan and goes, I'm going to try and incorporate that in my life. And I think that's what Meghan would want as well. So, one of the things I've taken from this is how important it is to build your network and build as big of a network as you can, because you don't know who you're going to need and for what. And I truly believe that part of the reason Harry and Meghan have survived and were able to escape is because of all of the people that they knew, but more specifically, all the people that Meghan knew outside of the royal fold. And those are the people that were able to help her. And also, keeping a clean, friendly, helpful, kind, compassionate reputation throughout her entire life. That there were people out there who just wanted to help her because they could see, or they knew who she was, those that knew her before, and all of those people were advocating for her so that somebody like Tyler Perry could pick up that phone and say, I will help you. You know, if she had had a bad reputation, that would never have happened. So build your network, you will build your net worth, and you will have more people to help you when you are in times of need. Okay, so the article continues. It was from there the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, made a surprise announcement that they would be stepping back from their role as senior members of the royal family in an Instagram post so full of hidden context and meaning that MI6 could use it for message decoding training. And just make sure that I haven't missed anything important in your comments. Sorry, I'm going to miss a lot of your comments today, but I do want to get through the article. Okay, so it continues. They accepted exit terms, or Megxit, to use the term the papers favoured, even though Harry declared it misogynistic. Stipulated that the couple would no longer make appearances on behalf of the Queen. You know, the firm really thought that they were doing something by saying that Harry and Meghan couldn't make appearances on behalf of the Queen, but they have done Harry and Meghan the biggest favour. Because now Harry and Meghan get to focus on their own appearances and on their own work without having to juggle, earning a living, and doing anything that helps that institution. Now they can go send Ford Fiesta and Edwina to go do all of the heavy lifting. The article continues. Would no longer be permitted to use the HRH titles and would make their own money, though Prince Charles provided some financial assistance for the first year. They were left sans public funding to bankroll both their lives and the security that protected those lives, and the press had just leaked the location of the coastal home they were staying in. By March 2020, the pandemic was underway, and there was talk of the Canadian-US border closing. They could see men on boats watching them from the water. Though Meghan had never met Tyler Perry in person, he had reached out when she and Harry got married to tell her that he was praying for her and that he understood what this meant, Meghan recalls, referring to the symbolic weight of their wedding, and that he could only imagine what it was like. He also told Meghan to call if she ever needed support or advice. It took her a long time to do so, she admits, but once she did, she found herself telling him every detail of their situation in Canada. Sometimes you tell your life story to a stranger on a plane as opposed to some of the people that are closest to you, she says. Y'all, Tyler Perry, this African American man, he knew. This man knew. To be honest, I think we all knew, but Tyler Perry, I will never stop thanking this man. I think the squad will never stop thanking this man. Meghan and Harry will never stop thanking this man for reaching out his hand and saying, I will help you. And the fact that he called her, even during the wedding, before the wedding, tells you that he was thinking what everybody else was thinking. This is not going to end nicely. That if Meghan becomes too popular, this is going to go downhill very, very quickly. I mean, to be honest, even leading up to the wedding, it was already going downhill because they were ripping her to pieces in the media. So Tyler Perry, you are truly just an angel. And I hope you stay blessed for the rest of your life, sir, because this could have gone a very different way. I'm sure there are people that would have helped Harry and Meghan in some way, but literally offering his home? Wow. So the article continues. And in a plot twist I may never get over, Perry offered her one of his homes, a literal safe house in Beverly Hills, complete with security detail, and became, in many ways, the reason that Meghan and Harry started their new life in Southern California. But she already covered all of this in the interview for Oprah, she reminds me, with a firm smile and a wave of her hand that signals it's time to move on. In March 2021, a year after they'd left for America, Meghan and Harry put rumors about Megxit to rest. They took part in an interview special with their neighbor and collaborator Oprah Winfrey, which attracted 17 million viewers, was probably a hell of a lot more overseas as well. Over the course of the 85-minute special, she dropped bombshells. So it continues about all the stuff that they said during the interview. And then she says, this was definitely not a fairy tale, but revealing all of it was their way of setting fire to a narrative they didn't control and letting a new one emerge. My first glimpse of Meghan in this new chapter is her crouched in the hallways, arms wrapped around her black lab Pula, which is Setswanan for rain and good fortune, and a tribute to an early date during the couple's whirlwind romance in 2016. Oh, that's sweet. The front doors are thrown wide open as the doors leading out to the backyard. She stands and smiles with the perfect level of warmth, the gleam of her teeth rivaled only by the shininess of her blowout. Backlit by the late morning light in a scene that looks like Nancy Meyer's cinematic interior, Town and Country, Goop, and Architectural Digest had an orgy and created the perfect moment in California living. I love the way she writes this and really gives us a picture of Meghan's home and surroundings. She is a very, very good writer. She throws her arms wide open too and gives me a hug. Come on through, she says, beckoning me to join her on one of the many terraces. Oh, so we've got 200 bathrooms and apparently many terraces. That's good to know. The Montecito house is the kind of big that startles you into remembering that unimaginable wealth is actually someone else's daily reality. It evokes a classic Tuscan villa, a Napa vineyard, and manicured Beverly Hills country club decorated with careful consideration, coastal tones for a casual air, the home equivalent of billionaires dressing down in denim. Woof! Castle Montecito. Who needs that ugly swamp Frogmore Cottage? Finding a house to start their new life wasn't easy, Meghan tells me. We were looking in this area, she's referring to Montecito, the Tony beachside hamlet north of Los Angeles, and this house kept popping up online in searches. At first, they resisted going to visit. We didn't have jobs, so so we just were not going to come and see this house. Okay, let me just stop there. We didn't have jobs. Oh, I love this. You know why I love this? Because it really says something about the royals, doesn't it? They literally don't have jobs. Smiling and waving and living off taxpayer state benefits and being welfare queens is not a job. So it continues. It wasn't possible. It's like when I was younger and you're window shopping, it's like I don't want to go and look at all the things that I can't afford. This doesn't feel good. How utterly humbled we all are when confronted with a depressingly aspirational Zillow hunt. Listen, we've all done that, right? We've all gone and looked at like the $1 million houses that we can't afford on the property side. The article continues. They did eventually tour it and fell almost immediately in love. And since they have income now in the form of a reported $25 million Spotify deal and a reported $100 million Netflix deal, it's within their means. Meghan stops to point out two massive Dr. Sicilian palm trees, dead center on a lawn so verdant it's better not to consider the water bill. Oh, Camilla Tominey is gonna be thinking about the water bill and how much it costs to water the grass. One of the first things my husband saw when we walked around the house was those two palm trees, Megan coos. See how they're connected at the bottom? He goes, my love, it's us. Oh, that is so cute. And now, every day when Archie goes by us, he says, hi, Mama, hi, Papa. They had toured only the grounds when they told the real estate agent, we have to get this house, Megan says. It didn't matter that they hadn't seen the inside. Megan gestures to the sweep of the property, from the chicken coop to poor house to main house. Eventually, they purchased it for 14.65 million. We did everything we could to get this house. She leans her head back and lets the sun beam down into her pores. Because you walk in and go, she takes a deep breath, inhale through her nose and breathes out her mouth. Joy, and exhale, and calm. It's healing. You feel free. So, okay, I'm gonna stop there for a sec and just take some of your comments because we're around about where are we? About a third way through. So thank you so much, everyone, for being so active. I'll just put a nicer picture up. Um, let's see. Some of your comments. Uh, Almost 1,000 in the chat. Oh, well, actually, no, over 1,000, 1,100. Welcome, everyone. And they must be absolutely shaking in their boots right now at what Meghan could say. Because she could say a lot and she hasn't said anything that is actually that bad, to be honest. Ginger Lily, and I love that she have never met Tyler Perry in person and he reached out to them and say, if you need anything, call me. Yeah, he knew. My man knew. Tyler Perry actually has a history of being very kind to people. I think he paid for Kiki Palmer's skin treatment. She had been suffering with like really bad acne or something. So he has a history of just being kind and reaching out to people. Yes, Patricia, our girl is slaying. Trophy is hers. Yeah, Ruth, I hope she comes back to Instagram as well. I really hope she does. Oh, thank you so much, Reba. Yes, please hit the like button. 1.1K on here. Please do hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm. We're doing such a good job now of coming up in searches instead of the hater channels, so let's keep that up. And the other day, actually, there was a really bad hater channel that got removed from YouTube. So um, keep it up, everyone. Your support means a lot. Yeah, Sylvia, Megan knew a lot of wonderful people. Megan is kind and people know her to be kind and compassionate. Yes. Sharon, if you listen to what she said in the article and why she went through Just for Love, you can see that they really love each other, and they both gave up a lot. Um, they choose family, not a crown, exactly. Because who needs a crown? Who needs a trinket? If you have to literally sell your soul, what is it worth? It's a crown full of stolen jewels anyway, and I believe that's why so much of what's happening right now to the other members of the royal family is happening to them. It's just like the karma of all of the blood and sweat in all of the fortunes that they have now. It's just coming full circle. Marilyn, I love your analysis and articles and Twitter posts. Oh, thank you so much for following me on Twitter. Always leaves me with food for thought. You're intelligent and a warrior. Thank you so much. I'm able to do it because of all of you. I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. All right, let's continue. So it says, even if she and Harry have stepped back from their royal duties, Meghan is still very aware that people see her as a princess. It's important to be thoughtful about it because even with the Oprah interview, I was conscious of the fact that there are little girls that I meet and they're just like, oh my God, it's a real life princess. but her ambitions for herself and the little girls who look up to her are more than to marry into a position. I just look at all of them and think, you have the power within you to create a life greater than any fairy tale you've ever read. Oh my God, I love that. That is my new favorite Meghan quote right there. You have the power within you to create a life greater than any fairy tale you have ever read. I don't mean that in terms of you can marry a prince one day. I mean, you can find love, you can find happiness. You can be up against what could feel like the greatest obstacle, and then you find happiness again. So, Natasha Devon actually posted something the other day, and she said it was something along the lines of, um, she believes that one of the reasons a lot of um, women hate Meghan is because she ruined the fairy tale fantasy. And part of the fairy tale fantasy is that a rich, affluent, high status man only wants a woman because she's beautiful. And beautiful is all you have to be to attract him. But honey, this is 2022. A smart man wants a woman of character. He wants a woman of her own mind. He wants a woman that is creative, that can um, be a team player, and they can work together as a team. And that is what Harry saw in Meghan. And so the whole princess narrative is just dead now, because really it's the princess that rescued the prince. And so I think it does explain, other than the other obvious reasons. I think they don't ever expect a woman of color to have that happy ever after. Why Meghan is such a thorn in their spine, because she has shattered the Princess Smith. First of all, the reality of being within those castle walls is just one of misery. It's one of just utter misery. It's one where you have to make who your true self is disappear, enable in order to get the privileges of being a princess. And the way in which you have to minimize your existence to really just become a well-dressed mannequin who is seen and never heard. And so many of them, so many of these women that hate Meghan had this illusion in their mind that it was the dream life, and she shattered it completely. And she said, actually, you create your dream life as a woman, and then you find a man that can complement you, and um isn't scared of your ambition. That word, isn't scared of your ambition and wants to work with you, and you build together. So it continues. Meghan's Harry, or H, as she calls him in anecdotes, or my love, as she refers to him when he's standing in front of her, as he is now in navy blue athletic shorts, a t-shirt, and shoes, has appeared from somewhere in the house to say hello. I stand up instantly, understanding the confusion Meghan must have felt when she first met the royal family. Am I supposed to shake his hand, or bow, or curtsy, or salute? Do I call him Prince Harry, the royal formerly known as Prince? Ex-Prince Harry? The Duke? Sir? Mr.? Wait, does he have a last name? As if to preempt my attempts, I might make at curtsying. Harry extends his hand to shake mine and welcomes me to their home. It's very beautiful, I assure him, not calling him anything at all. We're fixing all the things, the pipes, but that's a whole story in itself, Harry explains. Uh, Let me just come through some of your comments before we continue. Rahini, hello, hi Rahini. Tyler Perry paid Cicely Tyson 1 million for 2 days' work so she would have stability in her old age. Oh my god, that is so wonderful. That is so wonderful. Phoebe, maybe they wouldn't need to shake in their boots with fear for what the Sussexes will say if they had been kind and welcoming and loving towards them. Exactly. Tyler Perry pays the Christmas cards layaway and credit cards for many people every year here in Atlanta. He just picks a store like Walmart and he pays the bill. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Janet Lavali, for the super sticker. Much appreciated, darling. And happy Monday to you. Thank you, as always, for everybody who contributes to this channel. But there was also somebody who bought me 3 coffees the other day. Let me just check your name. It was HRH Leo. Thank you so much for the coffees. Um, Sharon, and that's why we love Harry in the article. She said when she came home from the photo shoot. Oh yeah, I'll get to that part. I'll get to that part. Thank you, Lucy Wynn, for reminding everyone to thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Bonnie, modern day fairy tales, skip the heir and marry the spare. Yes. Why would you want the messy heir? All right. So the article continues. The day before, while Meghan was on the photo shoot for this issue, Harry had been left to his own devices, he tells me. You were gone for like 10 hours yesterday, he marvels to his wife. Tell her the first thing you said when you got back last night, he says, turning to me. She said, I'm not a model. And Harry says, I was like, no, you are. Of course, you can be a model. And she's like, I'm a mom. And it's like, you can be both, Harry says, earning himself so many points. I love that. I love me a conscious, progressive man. Oh, the article continues. In October 2020, the couple launched Archwell, a catch-all company for their post-royal pursuits. Thus far, it has 3 divisions: the non-profit that puts compassion into action, according to the website, Archwell Productions, which oversees the Netflix deal, and Archwell Audio, which oversees the Spotify deal. The two run Archwell from their shared home office, specifically from 2 plush club chairs placed side by side behind a single desk, facing into the room like thrones. Okay, so this is the room that we've seen a couple of times. They've done Zoom calls in this room, and also that's where Meghan did the video promo for 40 times 40. So that is actually their working office, which I love. And I love that the chairs literally look like thrones. Thrones for modern royals in their Montecito castle. So Harry says, most people that I know and many of my family, they aren't able to work and live together. Now, this is the part that has been ruffling a few feathers. What did Harry mean by that exactly? I guess we kind of know. Yeah, I'll let you interpret that how you want to. Harry says in passing as I take a peek at their command center. Um, Harry says it's actually really weird because it seemed like a lot of pressure, but it just feels natural and normal. The week I visit, things at Archwell are particularly busy. In addition to a trip to Africa for Harry, on behalf of the charity African Parks, Meghan is launching Archetypes, which aired its first episode on Spotify on August 23rd. There's another trip in the works, on which they'll both speak at a handful of charity events in the UK and in Germany, at the Invictus Games, which Harry founded in 2014. After all the drama, it looks like they've designed the exact job they wanted to as roles, but were denied. I think also this just speaks for a lot of millennials who are what I like to call do everythingpreneurs. I think they are literally the epitome of the um, hustle hard, grind hard millennials at the highest level. But there's normal, everyday people who are doing this: influencers, content creators, entrepreneurs that are doing this every day. And I think it's partly what makes them so relatable. So the article continues, I think we always knew the first few years of creating this new life from scratch were going to be the busiest, Harry says. Well, it's a startup, Meghan interjects. We were building a business during lockdown. And then Harry interjects, with everyone weighing in. If you do something, they criticize you. If you don't do anything, they criticize you anyway. It's a lot, but Oh, and then having a baby in the middle of it all, casually, Meghan jokes. Their daughter Lilibet was born in June 2021. And I love that Harry says that, with everyone weighing in, if you do something, they criticize you. If you don't do anything, they criticize you anyway. But as a couple, they're just carrying on and they no longer care. And I love that for them. So far, there's been little content out of Archwell. The first announced project was a behind the scenes docu-series about the Invictus Games, which has yet to see daylight. Meghan had been working on Pearl um, when Netflix axed it. There's not much you can do when a company and a division changes their slate, she says. And there's also not much you can do when, even if they think the project is great, the media will report it as though it was only my project. Meanwhile, Archwell has had a leadership change as the company moves forward. According to reports in the Los Angeles Times, there's an air of impatience around the Netflix documentary, specifically, and around what the couple is going to produce in general. Attempts to learn what those other projects might be or what their plans are met with an institutional paranoia by a team that responds to press inquiries as if it's protecting nuclear codes. Contact with non approved employees invites fear and suspicion and confrontation. Questions about rumored projects, for example, an At Home with Meghan and Harry type docuseries that reportedly has an attached director, Liz Garbus, and footage shot by teams of cameramen who have been spotted following the couple around, are met with half answers shrouded in winks, codes, and redirection. Okay, so I actually do believe that they are shooting some kind of behind the scenes like style show. However, the suggestion that this is going to be some kind of drama filled Kardashian style reality TV show is just ridiculous. I think that if Harry and Meghan ever did something that was very behind the scenes, it would just be very real and their day to day, because their day to day is probably fascinating enough without all of the fakeness of reality TV. And Harry and Meghan just aren't drama filled people. And I think us as their fans don't want to see drama, don't want to see anything that is overproduced and fake. We just want to see them. That is interesting enough. So I hope we do get to see something, and I don't think it will be anything like the British trash tabloid media are trying to spin it into. I think it will be a very classy behind the scenes docuseries, if at all there is anything. And from the so-called shrouded um half answers and shrouded in winks, as the writer is saying, there could well be something. Meghan herself gives off an effortless, arms wide open, relatable affection. She dangles the glimpse behind the curtain while the machine in place around her slams the door. The couple has directly smashed rumors of a reality show, both in statements made to publications and in conversations with me. But Meghan explains there's a difference between a historical documentary and a reality docuseries. Literally what I just said. The piece of my life I haven't been able to share, that people haven't been able to see, is our love story, she says. Then quotes what she says was the end of a speech she gave at her wedding, in which she took comfort in the resounding knowing that above all, love wins. She adds, I hope that is sentiment that people feel when they see any of the content or the projects that we are working on. All right, we are just about halfway through, so I'll just go to your comments for a sec before we continue. Uh, Sheila James, as Michelle and Tina always says, Meghan life did not benefit anything marrying into the family and institution she married into. It's Harry who got the fairy tale, while Meghan got a scary tale. Sheila James, if I could give you a super chat, I would. I'm going to take that quote, please, if you don't mind. It's Harry who got fairy tale. It's Meghan who got the scary tale. Phew, what a quote. Rahini, it makes me sad when I think about how much of an asset Meghan could have been for the UK and the Commonwealth. Well, you know what? I'm glad that they lost that asset. And that asset gets to use her power to build her business and her dream, because it would have been completely and utterly wasted building the UK and the Commonwealth. Completely and utterly wasted. Queen Bee, thank you so much for the super sticker, darling. Sylvia, Duchess, you are right. Prince C. Eso and Nacho said Harry wanted a wife that could be his teammate and partner. He found that in Meghan. Meghan just happened to be beautiful and brilliant. Exactly. She's just got everything. Got all the things that he needed to give him the fairy tale and escape the scary tale. Sheila, I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt for real. Dara, I can't remember who did the podcast, but earlier this year, a podcast showed several princesses. One who learned how to drive a truck to help her country are smart, educated, strong women. Okay, that's interesting. Well, I mean, even one of the is it one of the Saudi princesses? I see her doing a lot of interviews for CNN and her talking about business and tech. So in other countries, you can see that the royal women, yes, to a certain degree, there are still expectations that you're, expected to meet, but you can still see a level of modernization in the other royal families that you don't see in the British royal family. And they understand that in this modern world, it's important to show that the women in your institution are active and have some kind of voice on the world stage and can be, used for soft diplomacy and business. Jean, I'm sitting here really shocked that Valentine Lowe was allowed to so vile compare Meghan to a frog. That bothers me. Yes, it's really horrible. And the Royal Rota tabloid trash reporters have just really opened a lot of people's eyes. People, I think, who are British and who aren't British, as to just how nasty the rhetoric in our press is. All right. Okay, so the article continues. We're about halfway through. It's a very long article. Thank you so much for being patient on. Oh no, I accidentally closed the I accidentally closed the page. Wait, give me a sec. It's gotta load. I've gotta find where I was now. Um Hang on a sec. Have to scroll down a bit. Mm, okay, so piece of my life that okay. So it continues. I ask again if what they are currently filming is a documentary about their love story. What's so funny is I'm not trying to be cagey, she says. I don't read any press, so I don't know what's confirmed. I will tell you, Liz Garbus is incredible. Liz Garbus also works on Pearl. Meghan says she's going to leave it to her publicist and Netflix to decide what can be shared. Not much. As for the rest of the project, she explains, when the media has shaped the story around you, it's really nice to be able to tell your own story. Your eye contact is good, she says suddenly. You're like looking into my soul. I stammer out an apology. I feel it. It's good. I'm like so excited to talk. Meghan was born and bred in LA, and her mother, social worker Doria Ragland, lives close enough that she can visit regularly for active, involved grandma duty. Oh, I love that for Doria. I asked if Harry feels isolated without family nearby. Well, look, we're both building communities, she responds. I didn't have friends up here. In addition to being new people in a new place, they moved during COVID when everybody was isolated. They are creating a new thing together. Megan launches into a little story. Right now, they're trying to teach Archie his manners. We always tell him, manners make a man. Manners, 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 manners. In one of those lessons, Megan remembered something she'd learned at a young age from a friend's mum. Salt and pepper are always passed together, she said. You never move one without the other. That's me and Harry. We're like salt and pepper. We always move together. I love these little antidotes. Also, the thing about teaching Archie manners. So, one of the organizations that Archwell, I'm sorry, Archetypes is collaborating with, I think it's sorry, I forget the name, but it's an organization that's working with boys to foster healthier masculinity. And um I think it's just so important, more important now than ever, as you know, gender roles change, for boys to have strong role models to help them adapt to how things are changing, because this is why you're having the likes of, Andrew Tate and all these crazy podcasters who are unfortunately having a very negative influence on a lot of young and older men. And I love that, Megan is working with these organizations, and you can see it in her mothering, the way she is raising her boy, who I'm sure will be as compassionate and kind and loving and strong as his father. The article continues. These days, they are getting back out there together. Recently, Megan says they took Archie to a birthday party for a classmate. Everyone was surprised they showed up. I was in a bouncy castle and I saw this 1 year old inside. I was like, "Where's your mum?" And this mum on the outside goes, "Oh, hi, I'm here." I wasn't sure if I should come in. She laughs. I was like, "Do you need your child?" Of course you can come in. So I love this. I love that they've actually just been getting on with their life, and we haven't known about these things, that they've been, going to Archie's classmates' birthday parties and they're making friends, and nobody is leaking any of this, because you can imagine there were probably, 20 or 30 kids at that party with 20 or 30 of their parents. No pictures, no leaks. And I think when you're in a community like this, everybody values their privacy. And I'm sure that there are some mothers in that class who aren't trying to ruin their chances of getting their kid with Archie or Lilibet in like 18 years. There's some Carol Middletons in there, I'm sure, plotting and planning. Harry plays polo with the Los Padres in Santa Barbara. They spend time with a close knit group of friends who have lunch and dinner at one another's homes. An entrepreneur, Victoria Jackson, who has become a close friend and safe harbor, they met through another close friend, Gloria Steinem. Jackson invented no makeup and made a fortune selling her products on QVC in the 80s, and has a sprawling ranch near Santa Barbara that she lent to Meghan for the photo shoot. Meghan has celebrated her 41st birthday here in August. Oh, so she did have a party. The kids have been over to pet Jackson's mini pigs. Harry once fixed one of her sprinklers. Y'all, Harry can fix sprinklers. Harry is a handyman. And of course, Jackson is telling her story on an upcoming episode of Archetypes. Oh, fantastic. I just want to genuinely show up for them, Jackson says, of why she opened her home to Meghan so freely. To be able to get them out of their house because it's complicated for them to go anywhere. You know what I mean? I want Harry to be able to come up here for their birthday or share time, and people to know that I'm not telling anyone when they're here. So I want to keep it that way. So don't give out my address, she laughs and then sighs. Oh no, Camilla Tominey is going to be on this woman's lawn. I hope that people take their foot off the gas a little bit and all the negative spin, because they're really good people. There's nothing that affirms a right place, contentedness, more than a trip back to the place you felt you had to leave. In June, the couple attended some of the events for the Platinum Jubilee in London. It was their first time appearing at a public event alongside the rest of the royal family since they'd left. While there, Meghan had quietly seen to more personal matters, slipping back into their former residence, Frogmore Cottage, to pack their belongings. So they left so quickly that they weren't even able to pack their belongings. That really tells you something. I mean, they were literally escaping, running for their lives. They knew, we in danger, girl. Thank you so much, Bernadine Robinson, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Yes, Anne Lewis. Meghan's talents would have been wasted on the firm. And to be honest, Meghan on her own could have brought the entire institution into the future. She alone could have seen that empire would, in its watered down way that it is now, but still there, would have continued for another generation. That is kind of a bittersweet reality, but I love how things worked out because now they're just going to destroy themselves. Okay, let me just scroll down your comments a bit. Yes, Rahini, Montecito is full of affluent people who like their privacy. Bonnie McFarlane, you had Victoria Jackson makeup in the 80s. Well, now you know that you were supporting a pretty awesome person. Okay, let's continue. So the cottage, Frogmore, is still theirs and has remained mostly untouched since they left. You go back and you open drawers and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I was writing in my journal there, and here's all my socks from this time. Now, let's just focus on that for a sec. Meghan says, this is what I was writing in my journal there. She's kept the receipts. She's got all the receipts. And I think by slipping that in, she's letting it be known that she's got those receipts. I tell you, Meghan is a nicer person than me because in her position, she can do everything that the ancestors wanted to do and just tear the whole thing down. Harry could do it too. But they're being as reasonable as they can. But at a certain point, you keep poking the bear's going to clap back. And it is high time that the royals told the press to call off the dogs. But of course, they can't do that now because they tried to use the press, they tried to weaponize the press against Meghan. But now they're in a situation where a single mention of Meghan makes more money than the other royals. So they can't stop the press even if they wanted to, because the press cares first and foremost about their bottom line. Anyway, the article continues. The blue and white linen pants she's wearing today were something from the cottage. Actually, they're like $30 pants from Bowden, and I bought them and I brought them back. It was surreal to walk right back into the life she'd been building in that cottage. There were all the things she'd had shipped from her old apartment in Toronto, so she moved her whole life there and barely gotten to unpack her sofa, posters of art she'd collected traveling with her friends. Oh my god, I love that Meghan collects art because I do that too. I've got so many paintings that I've bought from my travels, and I can't wait to actually have my own home and put them up. They're all in storage. Anyway, with her girlfriends and thrown into good old IKEA frames, a past message from a single self she hadn't fully wanted to leave behind. Okay, so it talks a little bit about Frogmore Cottage and the way that the press spun that narrative. We already know that. Okay, so then it continues with, how did it get so hard? She had tried to play royal. I was an actress, she says. My entire job was tell me where to stand, tell me what to say, tell me how to say it, tell me what to wear, and I'll do it. And I'll show up early and I'll probably bake something for the crew. Every movie about an American woman who ends up becoming a princess has a pivotal scene in which she thinks she's doing the job correctly just by being herself. But then some older royal gives her a speech about duty and decorum. I cite specifically, she hasn't seen it. Yeah, that would have been really helpful. That would have been a very key tutorial to have had in advance of all of this, she says. Not quite sarcastically, but the delivery is a sentence with a steel rod in it. Well, they were never going to give her that training and help because as far as they were concerned, she was a fling. So from the beginning, they didn't take her seriously or treat her as someone who was going to be part of the family. It continues, by her own analysis, her problem stemmed from her being an American, not necessarily a Black American, she explains. Hmm. Her desire to ask lots of questions and never to be involved with something she couldn't totally have her hands on seemed to violate an unspoken social norm. The reporting of their renovations was just part of the abusive press coverage, the sorts of headlines and allegedly true news items that led to the decline in her mental health. The couple figured if the tabloids felt free to attack them under the guise of public interest because their lives were taxpayer funded, then they should just remove taxpayer funding from the equation, she explains. They suggested to the firm that they be allowed to work, still on behalf of the monarchy, and make their own money. Then maybe all the noise would stop, Meghan says of their reasoning. Well, it didn't stop. It continued because um, apparently people earning their own living and not sucking off the taxpayers was actually offensive to some royalists. Meghan should have just been grateful and stayed quiet. Like, it's crazy to me how you can have poor working class people struggling and suffering, and people are okay with the royals taking so much money. Anyway, it continues. They also thought it best to leave the UK and the UK press to do it. They were willing to they're willing to go to basically any Commonwealth, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, anywhere, anything to just because just by existing, we were upsetting the dynamic of the hierarchy. So we go, okay, fine, let's get out of here. Happy to. I love that. It's interesting that they were actually willing to go to, some of the other countries. I remember there being some talk of them going to New Zealand, but I think that wouldn't have been a very good idea. Um, or Canada, because there's too many issues in Canada. I think maybe in South Africa it could have actually worked, but not New Zealand and not Canada. Okay, so it continues. Meghan asserts that what they were asking for wasn't reinventing the will, and it's a handful of prince and princesses and dukes who have the very arrangement they wanted. Yes, other royals in other countries had that. That for whatever reason is not something that we were allowed to do, even though several other members of the family do the exact same thing. And I love that they point that out. Why do you think that is? I ask. Why do you think that is? She says right back with a side eye that suggests I should understand without having to be told. uh, all right, Meghan, I'll bite. It could be that the very reason she was considered a breath of fresh air at first, and then a supernova, biracial divorcee, self-made millionaire, clothes horse, only highlighted the ways in which the monarchy was becoming irrelevant to a younger generation. And worse, the ways that it was deeply flawed and racist. Sorry, let me just drink some water. Whew, this is work. Mhm. Okay. To that, it could just be because she's black. Or perhaps it's owed to the fact that Meghan, who jokes that even my blood type is A positive, wouldn't relinquish control over her own image, and that image had the potential to be too big of a brand. Um, uh, sorry, give me a sec. Okay, maybe as Harry battled on her behalf with the tabloids, one stern statement after another, it was becoming all too eerily reminiscent of Princess Diana. Or maybe it's because by the time she met and married Harry, she was already a fully formed American woman, self made, self refined. She had desires and goals and a fan base. And while she was a fine actress, the job she is best at is envisioning a life for herself and getting it. That specific type of very American ambition just isn't really compatible with being a princess. Well, not a British one, because there are princesses in other realms. who do their own thing. Though it is compatible with her current life, which seems to be the best of all worlds. A palace in a better climate, still culturally considered royalty, or having freedom from the royal family, a level of celebrity that exceeds what she could have gotten through Suits or The Tig, a neighbor with mini pigs. um, okay. Well, I can't put words in your mouth, I say instead. And then a pause as she looks down and inspects her hands. The bachelor producer in her head deliberates. How much should be said? I don't know, she says, casting a knowing gaze into the middle distance. Though it wasn't the planned first project, Megan is happy for the podcast to be her reintroduction. Oh, okay, so there were other projects planned as well. Interesting. It's so real, she says. By the way, for those of you who are waiting to talk, I have to apologize. I think what I might do is have a talk tomorrow because honestly, by the end, like my voice is going right now. It's getting quite late here in the UK, so I don't think I'll actually be able to take any calls for today. So I'm so sorry. If you did want to talk, tomorrow is the Archetypes podcast. So if you wanted to make any comments about what was said in this interview or what's going to be said in the podcast tomorrow, then I will let you come and talk. But if you're waiting to talk, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to leave it for tomorrow because my my voice is almost gone. Okay, so it continues. 1,300 in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, though it wasn't planned, the first. Okay, sorry, I think I already said that. At its heart, archetypes with the slogan "Don't believe the type" is Meghan's way of grappling with questions that have plagued her personally. Why certain women get settled with labels, why they stick long after they've been proved untrue. The first episode, which debuted at number 1 on Spotify, is a chat with her friend Serena. Um, okay, then it describes what archetypes is about. Um, okay, so then it goes on to. So this part was quite interesting. She recalls a moment from 2019 at the premiere, at the London premiere of the live action version of The Lion King. I had just had Archie. It was such a cruel chapter. I was scared to go out. A cast member from South Africa pulled her aside and said, he looked at me and he's just like light. He said, I just need you to know when you married into this family, we rejoice in the streets the same way we did when Mandela was freed from prison. Of course, she knows she's no Mandela, but perhaps even telling me this story is a mode of defense. Because if you are a symbol for all that is good and charitable, as Mandela was, how can anyone find you objectionable? How can anyone hate you? That is a very good point. But the British press have tried to spin a narrative that she is hated. He continues, the result of trying always to do and say the right thing is the impression that she's constantly uh, policing herself. And in a meta twist, I find myself worrying that the words I write about her will be misinterpreted and dissected, rudely and maliciously too. So even the journalist herself has a sense of self-awareness of how the press dissects everything Meghan says and does, or the British press rather. In October 2021, the company Bots Now released a study, so that's Christopher Bootsy's company, that found not only that the press around Meghan was disproportionately negative, but 70% of the hateful posts about her came from 83 accounts that had reached up to 17 million Twitter users. So clear bot activity right there. And somebody needs to do a deep dive into who is responsible for that. I think we know. And I think that, with this whole situation with the trolls, we would have enough evidence to go to trial, but not enough to win. I think that's the situation we have right now. Enough evidence to go to trial, but not enough to win. So we have to really get to the bottom of who is hiring these bots? How much are they paying and why? And we need the names. The article continues, I wonder if she was relieved by any of this. After being gaslit, she at last had proof that she had been harassed, but also that it was just a small group of people. It didn't really matter what she did. She would still have elicited this hatred. There has to be some freedom in that. Whew. We drink some water. Okay, so now we move on to a little bit more behind the scenes, everyday life. So, somehow Archie knows his mother is at the gate of his preschool before the teacher even throws it open to set him free. So they've gone to Archie's school now. She actually took the journalist to Archie's school. That's interesting. He's so excited to see her, repeating, Mama, 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 in his little voice as he runs towards her, that he leaves his lunchbox behind on the ground. She scoops him up in a big hug, so full of genuine emotion that both close their eyes. Meghan grew up very close to her father, Thomas, a retired lighting director who gave Meghan her Hollywood bug, but she has been estranged from him basically since the wedding. He was not even in attendance. And every miserable fissure in her former bond has been publicized, often by him. After the wedding, the Mail on Sunday leaked a heartfelt letter Meghan wrote to her father, begging him to stop speaking to reporters. Um, when I ask about it, Meghan doesn't stay in her sadness for long. Instead, she uses it to discuss how toxic tabloid culture has torn two families apart. Harry said to me, I lost my dad in this process. It doesn't have to be the same for them as it was for me, but that's his decision. So, Harry said to me, I lost my dad in this process. So I don't know if Harry is referring to him and Charles, or if Harry's referring to Meghan and Thomas. Um, anyway, it continues. The car ride back to their house is very busy, dictated by the whims and conversational patterns of a toddler. Archie, munching on a quesadilla, wants to roll the window down himself, but not until we get to a specific huge hedge he mysteriously favors. We assess if he had a good day at school via an updated letter from his teacher, and he did, and is ready for 4 days. Yay, well done, Archie. And tried to find out if he ate his sandwich at lunch. He did not. Bad Archie, must eat your lunch. We solved the question of the mid morning shirt change. They played in the water table. Why are you afraid of heights? Like an airplane, Archie asks. And that leads to a conversation about the importance of being brave. If he forgets to say please or thank you, Meghan reminds him of the manners that make a man. I love that. At a spotlight, he reaches into the trunk and produces a brand new black backpack and hands it to her security detail to give him to an unhoused man on the corner. They are teaching Archie that some people live in big houses, some in small, and that some are in between homes. They pass out kits. They made kits to pass out with water and peanut butter crackers and granola bars. I ate one, Archie contributes. Earlier in our conversation about her goals for the life she's creating here, she'd remark upon how if Archie were in school in the UK, she'd never be able to do school pickup and drop off without it being a royal photo call with a press pen of 40 people snapping pictures. Meghan says, sorry, I have a problem with that. That doesn't make me obsessed with privacy. That makes me a strong and good parent protecting my child. I love it. Where is the lie? Because with the other royals and the fact that there's a lot less interest in them, you probably would have had one or two royal rota invited to take pictures, right? But with Harry and Meghan's children, it literally would have been a press pen of 40 people, literally. Because those pictures of the Sussex kids would be worth so much more. And it would just be hell. Meghan says, for now, even though two Montecito mums waiting in front of the school stopped mid-chat to do a double take, Archie is just a cheerful kid who brings a week's worth of freshly picked fruit for his fellow classmates and enjoys playing a roaring game at recess. Oh, so he brings a week's worth of freshly picked fruit. That's probably from their garden, right? We pull up to the house and Archie leaps out. Harry is ending a phone call as Archie throws himself around his legs. Lilibet, unsmiling and with watchful bright blue eyes, is brought out by her nanny. She is small and also ginger. And when there is a small person in the room not smiling, it's a reflex to do anything to entertain them. Harry starts dancing to his own beatboxing. Oh my god, I have to hear Harry's beatboxing. Is lip sync challenge still going? Can we please see Harry on Verzuz or Verzuz, whatever it's called? And Meghan bends down and joins in, and then I find myself doing it too. Until she gives a lopsided smile, and we all realize it's a bit strange to be bonding in this way. Oh my god, that is so funny. Lilibet literally said, "Entertain me, peasants," and they did. We ended the visit in our sitting room, where there was a massive grand piano Tyler Perry gifted her as a housewarming present. "Write the soundtrack for your life," he told them. Lovely. And you know, grand pianos are very loud. They're made to um be able to be heard in like huge halls. So just shows you the scale of the size of the house that Harry and Meghan have to be able to have a grand piano in their house. Amazing. And that Tyler Perry gifted them the grand piano. How much is a grand piano? I think it's like what, like 100,000? They probably start from like 100,000 or something. Anyway, it's interesting. I've never had to sign anything that restricts me from talking, she reveals as she ushers me towards the door. I can talk about my whole experience and make a choice not to. Why doesn't she talk? Still healing, she responds. I wonder if, given all she's put behind her now, she thinks there's room for forgiveness behind her and her royal in laws and her own family. Meghan says, I think forgiveness is really important. It takes a lot more energy not to forgive, she says wisely. But it takes a lot of effort to forgive. I've really made an active effort, especially knowing that I can say anything, she says, her voice full of meaning. And then she is silent. She breathes in and smiles and breathes out and says, I have a lot to say until I don't. Do you like that? Sometimes, as they say, the silent part is still part of the song. And I think this is what scares the firm the most. Is Meghan going to start singing the silent part out loud? Because listen to that again. But it takes a lot of effort to forgive. I've really made an active effort, especially knowing that I can say anything. And whatever she does say could blow up every castle in the kingdom. So it ends by saying, we're at the end, people, we made it through. And then, quickly and decisively, as if it were my idea, the conversation ends. Meghan sets a harvest basket in my arms, a cornucopia of fruit and vegetables from their garden, and a jar of jam from the Lily Bunny garden and larder. She had the labels made on Etsy. She smiles and waves as I make my way out of the door, wondering if somehow I'd miss everything she was trying to say. You know, and that's the end. And thank you all of you for sitting through that for 1 hour and 40 minutes. Whew. I mean, wow. So much revealed there. So much so much said. That's the Lily Bunny Garden and Larder. And Archie's Chicken Inn. I love this. I love that Meghan is a low-key prepper and grows her own food. Oi. So a lot was said there. A lot was said. Like I said, I will take calls on that and also the Archetypes podcast tomorrow. But all I can say is that I'm so glad that Meghan has found her voice again. She's using her voice. She's not afraid to use her voice. Rahini, I feel like we might be living in a new civil right era only directed at one woman. Well, you know what? Every time Megan opens her mouth, it gives me strength. It gives me ideas, things that I want to do. So I think you're right. If anything, I think Megan is going to inspire a lot of women to step into their power, and I think we need that right now. Can you imagine Megan asking others at dinner to stop eating? No. Why would Megan do that? Um, I didn't understand that comment. Shirley Slaughter, there should be a law against someone profiting off of someone else's misery. This will never stop until someone pays the price. Yes. I think ultimately it's going to be the tabloids that pay the price. They're not going to get away with what they've done. And now that Megan has her power back and a platform back, and now that people are starting to see past the smear campaign, I think the tables will truly begin to turn. Okay, I'm just gonna get through as many of your comments as I can before we wrap it up and call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone, for sitting through that. 1,300 in the chat. I actually can't remember what our record is for live chats, but I'm gonna put it at 1,300 as a new record because I can't actually remember what the record was. And thank you all so much for joining. It really just it fills my heart, and I love the community that we've created here. So let's get through your comments before we wrap things up. Um, Thrive was right. Where can I get that magazine? I'm in Canada. Yeah. Listen, if I find out where it can be bought, I will be updating those details on the community tab. And as you guys know, I always do my best to keep the community tab updated on the hour. So if I do find out where you can buy it, I'll let you know. Um, Angela, I googled the Cut magazine article and got it. Oh, okay. Let me try doing that now. Wait, what? You mean the print version? Let's have a look. Print. I'll just have a quick look on their website now, seeing as a lot of you are wondering. Let's see what comes up. Displaying all articles. Should print magazine? Okay, no. Uh, Current issue contents. Subscribe to the magazine. Or buy back issues. But I can see monthly. Okay, so it's got a subscription, but it's like monthly digital, annual digital, and then annual digital plus print. I don't want to subscribe. I just want to buy. Do you know what? I might even just send them an email and ask. Do you know what? I might actually send them an email and ask them, "Can I have some spares for a competition?" And then we can have a competition, and I can actually give some out. I think that'd be cool. Okay, I'll do my best to find out how you can get your hands on that. Thank you, Sherry Ware, for continuing to post the article link. Yes, make sure everyone go and read it. If you missed me reading it out for the last hour and 40 minutes, if you're just joining. Lakis, Meghan and Harry can afford to tell the tabloid rota to get lost because they don't have any dirt on them. The welfare royals have no choice but to play balls because the tabloids have got dirt on them. Exactly. Exactly this. A little bit Diana's using her power, yeah. Uh, yeah, Shirley, notice how the trolls are being cancelled, lots of deletions going on. Exactly. Sooner or later, all of this is gonna lead straight back to the palace. And is this the best that Lee Thompson can do? Hiring, Twitter trolls? Is that it? Stephanie Green, the writer does a great job. I 100% agree. It was very, very well written. Yes, Jean, what a story, a lot to unpack. Not at all, Chef Sandy Love. There was so much to unpack. I just felt like I had to really read it and just go through it in detail. Oh, no sound again. Why? Listen, guys and dolls, I do apologize for the constant glitches and buffering. I'm still working on getting broadband, and it could be another week or two before I get that broadband. So please do bear with me. It's not absolutely terrible until I get broadband, basically. Um, because StreamYard is quite a heavy program and you need the Ethernet cable plugged in. And right now I'm just on Wi-Fi. So thank you so much for bearing with me while I get that sorted out. Um, Anne Lewis, it needed to be said. All this no complain and no explain when you are being suffocated and driven to suicide. Dana was the one who were trying to get who was trying to expose that snake pit. Yes. Reba, Meghan is reclaiming her time and speaking for herself. Amen. Oh, thank you everyone so much for your messages of support for me reading out the article. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't take any calls today, but I am truly exhausted. Like we're going on almost 2 hours. Oh, and of course the trolls come in, the new trolls at the end. Thank you, mods. Joseph Bruno, there's going to be a feeding frenzy of magazines competing to offer Meghan a platform, a voice, and enjoying the business results. Exactly. Everybody's going to want her now. Everybody. Can't wait to see the Vogue issue. All right, who is going to get the last word of the day? Thank you all so much. I actually, my voice is strained, but I really enjoyed actually reading through that and really taking our time to analyze each part because I believe that Meghan always speaks with a purpose, and there are things that we can see and hear in what she says that perhaps other people can't because we've been following so closely. Right. Oh, I've just seen somebody post. Does anyone know if magazine will be available to purchase for a physical copy? Okay, someone has posted. I saw a video on Instagram with a physical copy, so it's coming. Okay, so we will get a physical copy. Okay. Um. Okay, we will get a physical copy. Hang on a sec. I can see a video. All right. All right. As soon as I find out, guys, of course I will let you know. All right. Who's gonna get the last word of the day? Thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you all. Mm. Yes, thank you so much, moderators, for moderating the trolls. I do you know what? I'm gonna give Shelley. Was it Sheila that said that Harry got his fairy tale and Meghan got the scary tale. But you know what? In the end, everything has worked out, and we're here now, and it is onwards and upwards, onwards and upwards. Those are going to be my last words of the day. Thank you, everyone, as always, for all of your support. You humble me. Archetypes tomorrow. We will do call-ins tomorrow. So please save whatever it is that you we're gonna say today, save it for tomorrow. And I will see you then. Love you all. Ciao.
I know I messed it up, but in my soul, I feel a love for you that's out of control. Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. There isn't anything I wouldn't do to prove that everything I say is true. And if you let me, I can love you. I just can't change my emotions. Come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? I need. Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions. Baby, I know this might sound insane, but baby, you're gonna love me again, love me again. Yeah, I paid my dues to show you I'm not the same. It has cost me much, but I would do it again. So baby, come on, love me again, love me again. I know I messed it up, but in my soul, I feel a love for you that's out of control. Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. Oh, come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? I need. Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions. Sweet emotion. I know I messed it up in my soul. I feel a love for you that's out of control. Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. No, there isn't anything I wouldn't do to prove that everything I say is true. And if you let me, I'll keep loving you. I just can't change my emotions.
People should people should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know. Certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.